In the future of leadership is collegiality. Mike Teke sharing some of his insights on leadership and the approaches that made him successful. He discusses concepts such as collegiality, fraternisation, ingratiation and self-respect, and illustrates his ideas with examples of South African and world leaders. On his own journey towards becoming a powerful leader, it was inculcated in him that one had to be tough and ruthless in their approach to leading. However, times have moved on and the game has changed. Mike Teke joins us now via Zoom to talk about his book, The Future of Leadership is Collegiality. Mr. Teke, very good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome.
Good morning and thank you. Thank you to your viewers.
Thanks indeed. It's an absolute pleasure having you join us this morning. Talk to us, first of all, about your views on young leaders emulating and mimicking experienced leaders. I mean, why do you think this is the case?
Well, the case is that when we grow up and we are recruited into businesses or organizations to start working there, we are ambitious. We look for opportunities. We want to grow. We want to be great people. And you start believing that the people who are at the top, the executives, the board, the directors, the chairman, the CEO, have done it and achieved what they've achieved the way they've done it. And you tend to emulate what they do. And often you come across bosses who probably the language is not that great. They don't speak well to people. Two, they scream at people. They throw things at people. They walk around the corridor screaming at people. And you think that is right. You think that this is the way to do it for me to progress and get up the ladder in business. And you find that some of the habits are not that familiar with you. You were not raised that way at home. And, you find that either it stresses you, it becomes difficult for you to acclimatize to that, and you end up being affected. Your health is being affected, and that's not right. So my view is that the world has changed. We can achieve the same results. We can grow. We can prosper. We can become executives by being collegial, relax, speak to people in a friendly way, be a decent human being, just like any other human being. But at the end of the day, don't drop standards. Don't be mediocre. Don't forget the end goal. Don't over consult with people. Don't introduce mediocrity, but be collegial. Just create that balance.
Okay, point taken there. And in this book, you talk about, as you've mentioned, concepts such as collegiality, fraternisation, ingratiation and self-respect. And of course, you illustrate your ideas with examples of South African and world leaders. Tell us more about this.
Well, the most interesting thing, when you arrive at a business, you find that you have a boss and you want to become friendly with your boss. Suddenly you're playing golf, you're fraternizing with them. It's you at a golf, you're learning to play golf as an example, one of the sports, or you're going to sports events, or you spend time at a pub, or you parties together. Suddenly it becomes a too personal relationship. And you as the manager or the boss, you find it now difficult to have a tough conversation in a collegial manner with your direct reports, because suddenly you've opened yourself up to friendliness, you've opened yourself up to personal relationships. And if it happens over the weekend, on Monday morning, it's difficult for you to clearly articulate your expectations as a boss.
So is it wrong though? Is it wrong though, having a personal relationship with your boss and of course sticking to work?
No, it's not wrong. That is why I'm saying the balance is important.
Okay.
The challenge you come across with, it's when it becomes too collegial, you fraternize in such a way that reach a stage where you become too friendly with each other. And suddenly there are no more boundaries. You are unable to tell people that A, you're not delivering, B, my expectations are A, B, C, D. And suddenly the business standards drop in the business. You all become mediocre. You're friendly with each other. You forget the big goal.
Got you. Now, it's often said that, your approach to business, you have to be tough, you have to be ruthless, and in some instances, you have to be shrewd so that you get your message down to your, subordinates, so that you drive the fear factor, so that whosoever is below you will take your instructions. Let's talk about how your journey was to becoming a leader and what lessons did you learn along the way. Were you also shrewd and ruthless to become the great leader that you are today?
When I was young, I met great CEOs. I'm fortunate that I worked for CEOs or bosses who were never my enemies. Even today, I'm still friends with them. I'm fortunate in that instance. Secondly, I learned from bosses who took time and an interest in my life. I had a boss who spent time with me, and he was able to say to me, "You're going to be a great guy." I mentioned it in the book, and he said to me, "You can see around the corners. You are shrewd, you're smart enough, but don't be arrogant. Don't be arrogant."
Yes.
So I learned over the years. Then I met bosses who used to tell me that, "Mike, we don't think that you may not be suited for a corporate career." And I started then to be shrewd and look for opportunities to build my own business. And over the years, yes, I was tough. I'm still tough. I still make tough decisions, I believe. But I try to learn as well, or to unlearn the wrong things of I used to scream at people. My language can be difficult and bad. And at times I set standards which I believe that can be unreasonable. But I'm learning to be collegial because I believe that's the future. So the bosses who worked with me took an interest in my life, listened to me, educated me, and I was open to that education as well.
What do you think future leaders need to be or need to have to be more effective and deliver quite consistently in business?
Number one, we need to understand that as business people, we are not excluded from humanity. We are human beings at the end of the day. Number two, our businesses, it's not only about the profit motive. Yes, we have to make money because we have to pay people. We have to look after the business. We need to make it thrive. We need to keep it healthy and strong. In fact, I'm reading a book now called Traction by Gino Wickman. It says, get a grip on your business.
Right.
We need to make sure that we get a grip on our business. We don't lose that. But don't come up with the ruthlessness of screaming at people, throwing things at people. Remember, you're working with people who are human beings who arrive back at home and meet their children, their families, and tell you about their bosses. So I've learned over the years that don't mellow down, don't relax and forget about the end game, the big goal. What is the big dream in this business? What are we building? So over the years, I've built businesses, but I've ensured that suddenly this lesson has come up and said, and I'm feeling it, that I have to be collegial. I have to listen more. I have to make sure that I am calm in my approach to things. And truth be told, it works well for my stress levels as well and my health.
Right. You know, Mr. Teke, it's often said that leaders are born, and leadership is not only confined in the corporate spaces, in business, or in politics. Leadership also starts at home. Anybody can be a leader. So who, in your view, needs to see this book, needs to read this book, and how will it help them?
There are young aspiring youngsters who are growing up. You finish matric and you start being confused about where am I going to end up? How does my life look like? Yes. At the age of 20, 21, I'd love the young people to read the book. Number two, I've mentioned a lot of examples. I speak about Jack Welch, Steve Jobs, Satya Nadella. I speak about a lot of, in fact, I've taken practical examples of CEOs in South Africa. Young people who worked with me, who are my direct reports, or some of them are close to me in business. And I want young people who are starting in business, who have a career, or young entrepreneurs to start taking these lessons seriously. Grow up and see yourself being that leader who's going to make a difference to humanity.
Yeah.
Not only to make lots of money for people. You will make lots of money, you will pay people, you'll grow, you'll prosper, but don't forget that the big story is about humanity.
I quite like the point that you made earlier on at the start of this interview that, business is all about opportunities, creating opportunities and exploiting some opportunities. Of course, it is also about filling gaps whenever gaps, are, and your business needs to fill a particular gap and address a certain problem. So what do we need to do? Like, how do we build more diverse networks as leaders?
Well, the first important thing is we need to think big. Okay, the businesses we build. In my life, I'd love to build businesses that are big, that make a difference to humanity, as I say, the betterment of humanity. 3, what is your agenda? What do you want to do? There are people who say, I want to be in business to make money, to buy a beautiful car, to have a beautiful house. For me, those are just short-term goals. Yeah. I'm talking about the big story. My big story in life is I want to build energy businesses. I want to build businesses that address food security. I want to build businesses that are going to build sustainability for the future of humanity. In other words, for the 10, 15 years to come. For me, young leaders must be able to say, how do I make this world sustainable? How do I make humanity different today and tomorrow? In other words, for South Africa to thrive, to be a better country, I hear stories, people saying this country is becoming a failed state, this country, the unemployment, but what are you doing about it? Our business dream is to build businesses that are going to create jobs, to create value, and to make a difference to humanity.
All right, Mr. Mike Teke, lovely chatting to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. That was author Mike Teke speaking to us about his new book titled The Future of Leadership is Collegiality.